And the way this is oriented, you kind of, I saw a few options where they turn the other direction, but that was with the building closer to the present building, and you kind of limited that with this better configuration of the classrooms.
Yeah.
So that's going to be on a north-south orientation.
The way that's laid out, you look at the house or the seating, then you've got the stage, and then you have a scene shot behind that with a corridor that would come out. And then also, we plan for future classrooms just to the west of the wrestling room. So there's even a little bit more growth there that could potentially be a choral music or a choir that would make a good location for a drama classroom or things of that nature. So, yeah, the plan laid out, and then that having that drive and parking on the back side there, you could have drop-offs for deliveries to the scene shop and things of that nature. That's somewhat kind of concealed on the back side.
What do you envision in the future with in between the corridor that's to the west and then the canopy area? So in between the
That layout,
auditorium, yeah, and the classroom, you got.
this particular one, we did have there was two ways to lay this out. We could even move the building a little bit closer to the existing brown shaded area and eliminate part of that corridor, because right now that corridor is there. It's a little bit wider corridor, depending on if you wanted a large dramatic entrance coming in, so that the area just to the east does have additional corridor space between the new or future auditorium and the brown space, or the academic building.
So glass would come out and you'd have a big open
Yes,
area.
yeah.
What were we thinking, Kelly, about, since the public uses the practice gym, and I'm going to assume maybe the wrestling room in the future, how would they access those rooms? You know, right now, the practice gym, they just go in that side door, we don't
Right.
have them going through the building and stuff.
Right.
What would
The wrestling room has an exterior access on it because, for one, because of the size of the room. Two, just getting equipment in and out sometimes helps to have a direct access out. We didn't highlight this, but there is a door that's drawn on the north side of the practice gym that is on the plan. You can barely see it. It's in the north corner, northwest corner. That's actually not there right now, but we didn't want to, it's so minor, we didn't put it in brown or something. But to add an extra access directly out from the practice gym. But typically, if we're using it for a school event, for example, if we were hosting a freshman basketball game in that practice gym, they'd come in through the main gym, our main entrance anyway, and come down the corridor to get to the practice gym. So,
I'm not sure there's anything wrong with ultimately funneling everybody through some sort of an administrative
Correct.
door rather than having open doors to the outside.
I'm just thinking
The only way-
summertime.
Yeah.
The reason we put that in there, we've got to do a little investigation. If I need to have two entrances,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I need to have two entrances out of there, just because of the size
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah,
space.
yeah. And I think the fire exit's one thing,
Correct.
having an exterior door
But
that
you're
people can
correct.
wander in and out of is a
We're
different
really
thing.
trying to focus everybody in on that main
Right.
entrance to
I
get
think
in.
that's a good thing.
One other thing, too, we were kind of struggling with, you can see the gang toilets there. We looked at one time about putting those at the main entrance, and I think the committee really kind of agreed that let's put them back. We've got some staff toilets in the administration area, but then we have the gang toilets for more centrally located for the kids when they're all in that bank of the new
yeah.
construction. But we have looked at potentially just running a drain line to the west so that we can pick up another bathroom there in the event that we put in the auditorium.
Right.
So we would at least have that there to put in another bank of bathrooms off of that corridor.
This bank of administrative offices still doesn't include, like Amy's office still stays down on the back side of the
Correct.
building, right?
Correct.
So when students are coming in, they're still going to come in that entrance
Correct.
and this entrance.
Correct. And we're going to have two entrances. Our buses will run
Right.
down through the lower lot, which has really worked out well. We've got, community members there that are greeting people and those type of things. We've got an office there. Our parents are getting used to checking kids out there now. And so we felt like with this size building, we were going to have two main entrances, so to speak. And we'll identify both as we just did in the past. And yeah, we'll maintain someone, an
That
assistant principal down there. And in the office, we haven't, again, between now and October 15th, we will get more and more specific in the areas, for example, the office design. We didn't, that's just a block. We know we've identified all the spaces we feel like we need, we've met, but we may rearrange that block. On this drawing, for example, one of the assistant principal's offices is near the front, right up front, and we talked about flipping it with a conference room and those type of things. So we'll sit down with Jim, Amy, Josh, and go through all those type of things with teachers, and technology has to get in on designing each classroom and those kind of things. So that'll happen over the next 2 weeks.
Well, are the doors at the north and south ends of the old part of the high school, are those locked all the time? Those aren't entries during the day, or in the morning, are they?
The only doors that are unlocked during the day is the main front doors of the office area on the Cedar Street side, and then the doors that lead into the new commons area on the,
And those are the doors kids go into in the morning?
Correct.
None of the other ones?
well, before 8 o'clock, they go in by the cafeteria.
But
So
the
there's
cafeteria,
3
right, okay.
areas. We've got supervision at all 3 areas.
The
But
old-
at
the
8
old
o'clock,
part.
we even lock the
The old
cafeteria
parts,
doors.
those doors are always locked.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Teachers have access to those, but
Okay.
not students.
Very good.
Other questions?
Any
I'm gonna-
questions for Kelly and
okay.
Mark?
Go ahead.
No, well,
You have something else, go ahead.
questions about the plan, or remember Chuck's here. Yeah, I told him he may not get asked anything, but if you had any specifics, obviously they haven't worked through all the details, but they've looked at our systems, and I don't know if anybody's got anything, but he's here if we need to refer to him, we definitely will.
Sure.
And what I was going to do is talk about next was the programs that are affected by this construction over the next year. But did you want to ask about the plan some
I
more?
want to ask about the plants more. Well, one comment on this, like I have about a single level plan, is that you don't have any light into the classrooms unless you do something with,
It's a very good point, and we struggled with that, because that is, it is. We try not to do classrooms like without windows in them. And so it's a valid point.
so you're looking something for on the roof to allow light into
We
the
could
space?
put in some skylights in there, and we can look at options. And, the other thing that, at least with putting the corridor there on the west side, we could put some transoms up in those classrooms to be able to get some light in. But that's.
So there's a challenge for it.
It's a
No
challenge.
answer for it today.
It's that is a challenge, because it is something, if you remember, we even had that same issue with the last edition, or the second last edition of the science rooms.
Right.
And when you're trying to make everything compact, and it's always something
Because
we
those 3
bring up.
current rooms have rooms above them, right? So they're.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's a concern too with the blue, we will try to keep windows in those spaces, but until we start cutting the sections and see where I can say we will have a small window up there, but until I get into the details, I'm not going to say that, because I know that's a concern too. We will try our level best.
So are you saying that the roof of the addition will
We'll cover, we'll
not
take out
cover,
the
not
current-
cover the entire windows?
Not,
of the current
well,
roof?
we're trying to prevent them from covering the windows on the first floor. The second
Okay.
floor, they'll be fine.
Yeah,
But we're
right.
going to try to take out the windows that are there.
Gotcha.
And have just I'll call it a transom, but
Yeah.
it'll probably be about a 1'4"
Right,
window.
right, okay, gotcha.
But good point.
Yeah, skylights aren't a real concern on roof problems anymore.
You know, they've come a long way with with skylights. They really have. And I know it is a concern. Some people, some districts, that's how they want to deal with the light now. And because of security issues, they almost want to deal more with skylights rather than a lot of glass. So that's another point but they've really come a long way. And we have it's not a flat roof, it'll be a low slope roof, so it's going to be draining away from that. You don't put the skylights in the low part of the roof, you'll put them at the high point. So it'll definitely be something we can look at.
But it's a budget issue, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see the roof line, how the roof lines fit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we'll be working on that and have something for you at our next meeting.
okay.
So, I just have a question for Chuck as to what they,
Okay.
since I was unable to get any of the meetings. Concerning, you talked about a boiler room, so I'm assuming you're looking at hot water.
That would be our plan and recommendation. You have an existing boiler room underneath the blue classrooms there in the corner is an existing boiler room and a chiller room. We haven't done enough study to understand their full capacity, but we would modify that system and tie into it, put new boilers and chillers in that serves this addition, tied together with the existing, so that would give you some redundancy, some capacity, and an opportunity so that if one piece of equipment goes down, your whole school isn't down. You can still operate the whole school by tying those together. The electric there in that corner of the building is new and a large enough service. If we use boilers for our heat and a chiller for our cooling, we think we've got enough capacity in that electrical service to serve the future auditorium without upgrading or adding a service.
As I remember from our science edition, we had capacity in the chiller, but it was cost prohibitive to service the science labs in that chiller. I think that's the chiller that had the capacity. So it's poorly loaded, so there's opportunities there to go ahead, of course, and provide redundant equipment, but not have to operate it all. So
Correct.
I don't know what kind of condition it's in. I've not seen it. The
The-
tower does not look very good.
The tower needs to be replaced. The chiller, if I remember correctly, it's 1983. So it's at about the end of its service life, but those pieces of equipment can have another 10, 15 years in them if serviced properly and operated properly. So we'd like to leave that there and supplement it and have some capacity in the new chiller to be able to handle the load if you have problems with that chiller.
Okay.
We do want to address the ventilation in the blue areas of the classrooms. Right now, they just use the windows for ventilation. So we recommend putting a controlled makeup air system.
We take your windows away, we got a problem.
What we talked
Anything further?
Other questions about the plan itself? And I'll talk real quickly about the other items that we're trying to address from the annex demolition.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Timeline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The departments and programs that are affected, obviously, the classrooms and the office are affected during the construction. We're talking about breaking ground on this in May, and I'll show you a timeline of the whole kind of process here, or at least a tentative timeline. Mark's, I sent it to him today. I changed it a little bit. Did you notice that? Anyway, I sped you up. We'll take input, obviously, from the administration about do we need, if and when we need to relocate, for example, the business classroom to another area in the building. We've got spaces that we can do that. The principal's office obviously may be affected, so we may have to do those kind of things. Most of that renovation will occur, if we can plan it right, in the summer. And so we'll do that. Because it's not new construction, so some of the renovation can do, if you're demoing a wall or something, you can do that. Obviously, the exterior walls that we're building up against there at the principal's office, for example, if that's got to go, then we need to move Jim and, that staff to another room. So, but we'll work through that. Food service, currently, for you all that toured the annex, and just to give you an idea, we've actually discussed the idea. We believe we can have that annex vacated by March, and possibly we're talking about releasing a bid for just the demo of that building and take that building down March, April of this coming spring, and that way when the general contractor comes on site to begin construction, he doesn't have to spend 4 weeks tearing down a building.
I like that.
And separate those two bids apart. Mark has the budget parameters, he's got that amount built into his current budget, but if we, so we know because it's going to happen one way or another, but if we can pull it out, we may get it for matter of fact, may get it for a better price, and then also speed things up for us, streamline.
Please have school board work day.
The
Sell bricks, right?
wrestling, obviously, is food service is in there, and I'm going to show you a place that we've identified to relocate them.
Come tear it down and take a
And
picture.
there's a freezer that will move. Wrestling will have, this current school year, will be in their wrestling room in the annex through the end of the season. The idea would be that they'll be done at the state tournament, which I think is March, maybe
End of February.
late February. So they'll be wrapping up then. So that they would be done in that building as far as our high school competitions and those type things. But we're working with the activities director, head coach, on where to maybe relocate that. We've identified some places on site and some places off site that we're investigating. Other locations in town that could allow us to be there throughout the next season, next school year, whatever. So we're currently talking to some people about that. Obviously, there are some things we could do on school grounds. For example, we could dedicate Mark Twain Gymnasium for wrestling practice after school and just tell the community that that one's not available for SIR and those type things, if that's the best appropriate place to do it. So we'll see. We may find somewhere off-site. We've discussed some areas around town. I had a discussion today with Coach Mrs. Shoup about that, and she's chasing some things. I don't want to mention any place necessarily yet. Custodial, we do keep lawn equipment, mowers, exterior, trimmers and all that, fuel and stuff, and our recommendation right now is to just provide 200 square foot storage space somewhere on our property. If we can identify some place that already exists, in the Bray building, for example. If not, we may purchase or build a small storage shed. A couple of places we've talked about is the back alley behind the gym, at the end of that alley, and construct something there. So there's some places to do that for a small area to keep lawn equipment and those type of things. So I think we're addressing those as we move through. Those obviously are areas that we'll take input from those people involved and try to do what's best for the long term on all those. Food service, we have gone over. We have a building that's approximately 1,500 square foot over at RTI. This is a Google shot from our property. So Forum is to the left, and 10th Street is to the top, okay? And the building sits just kind of on the south side. It's a concrete block building. Mr. Moreland is putting together estimates for renovating that building. It's currently a shingled roof. It's not insulated. It's been a storage building, but it's got a solid concrete floor. It's got, we see things like we need to put a larger garage door on it, so our forklift can run in and out without wiping out the side of the building and those kind of things. So we'll have some numbers put together for you next, hopefully by October 15th. That would be a situation where we would remodel that, insulate it. We'd relocate the freezers. We've identified 3 locations around that building that we could set freezers. We'll have to pour a pad. And so he's working with our building trades, masonry, and heating and cooling, and all those type of things to involve those people as well. So it'll be a materials cost and some, obviously some labor. But our goal would be, if you approve the plan when we bring it to you, would be to have this ready to move into in March. And we feel like RTI has identified things that are currently stored in there either need to just go away and be surplused, or there are some things that we've identified other spots in the RTI campus that we can move them to.
Yeah.
We have, for example, 6 pallets of paper sitting in that room, but there's another place that could go. And so we feel like Mr. Green's been over and looked at it and think it'll work. It's got a loading dock for a pickup, and then also area for forklift and that type of stuff.
Very good.
This is just a quick timeline then. Obviously still in the planning stages, early planning stages. October through February, they're going to work on finalizing drawings. Hopefully can release for bid late in January for the annex demo. February, release bid documents sometime mid-February maybe to release bid documents for the high school construction, and also award the demo bid for the annex. Demo the annex in March, so on and so forth. Begin construction May of 16, complete construction in June 1 of 17, and have an opportunity to move in June and July, finishing touches. So, open in August.
Sure does look good.
Any questions?
It's going to fly.
A lot of work.
Weather forecast.
Yeah.